Turn Up the Talk podcast, tackling mental health together.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Turn Up the Talk. You're joined by Paddy and Lockie. How are you today, Lock?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, mate, I'm super excited. We are recording out of the Radio Hub studios here in Sydney, Alexandria, and today's episode is brought to you by the beautiful, wonderful, amazing
Clovelly Hotel. Tuesday night is comedy night with the one and only Will Gibb. And also check out their website for free deals. They've got kids eat free one night. Palmy night, which is one of their main dishes, so you won't be disappointed.
best palmy in Sydney. And you know what? Tuesday comedy night, I think they do like 220 different pizzas.
I don't know if it's that many, but yeah.
You know what? Check it out on their Instagram. Find out for yourself. I'm a pepperoni guy.
And I like their prawn one.
I don't eat seafood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat seafood. My mum used to...
What's your sushi go to? Because
Chicken katsu.
sushi is seafood. Yeah.
But it's my favourite food, sushi. But because
your favourite food sushi, but it's chicken schnitzel sushi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my mum used to crumb fish and tell me it was schnitzel when I was a kid. So it's kind of scarred me. Thanks, Nicole. Love you. Anyway, today's guest is...
Look, massive guest. There's not many athletes, and we're going to actually get into this with him, but there's not many athletes that transcend their sport. So really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. So let's get into it, eh? Nick Kyrgios, thanks so much for joining us today, mate.
No worries, boys. Anything for you at 8 a.m?
You get your morning coffee in?
Not yet. I literally just rolled out of bed. No, I got to sleep late last night, but I was looking forward to this.
We really appreciate it. What's been going on? You got Wimbledon coming up?
Yeah, I got a couple tournaments coming up, heading overseas. Pretty much skipped the whole clay court season. Need my time at home. Learned that pretty early in my career. I tried to do that 6-7 months. Got pretty lonely, so just decided to pick out stages of the year where I just kind of stay home with my family, friends, girlfriend, and just enjoy it, and then reset.
So what's that look like? So the Wimbledon's at the end of June, I believe? Yeah,
Wimbledon should be around the end of June. Obviously, I feel like I got a pretty good shot to do well. No ranking points this year, but I think I still, to be able to do well there is and have that on the resume is, a good thing. So I'm going to go there and play.
No ranking points, but what was the prize money we were talking about off there?
I think it's £4.7 million.
Mate,
so
I wouldn't be too worried about the points.
I don't know. I'm not playing for points anyway, so we'll see.
When did that kind of stop in your career? I mean, obviously early on, I'd assume you'd want to kind of. Everyone talks about top 10 being number one and all this kind of stuff. It feels like, as of late, you've kind of taken a step back from that and you just really wanted to enjoy playing a sport you love and you just so happen to be doing it on the big stage?
Yeah, definitely. I think rankings for me kind of blew out the window pretty early on in my career. It's not something I wanted to, I got up the ranks pretty early in my career and it was like nothing really changed. I felt like people just respected my game rather than my ranking. And, I went on tour like a month ago and I played some of the top guys in the world like Andre Rublev, Casper Ruud. These guys are top 10 in the world and, I was beating them pretty convincingly. So I just go out there and do my thing, honestly. I just love, showing that I'm capable and believe in myself and anything's possible, really.
What is the reason? Is it so Russia aren't allowed to play in the Wimbledon? Is that the whole
Russia
story behind
and Belarusians aren't allowed to play. So
yeah.
I think, for me, it's crazy because, they most of these players actually kind of spoke out back against Russia saying like no war and stuff. So they can't even go home. So I don't even know what they're going to be doing those weeks.
I saw the F1 as well. They banned. I think they banned Russian drivers.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So who's like Medvedev,
Rublev? They've got a lot of decent players in like top 30 that would have a decent chance to do well. Wimbledon.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Talk us through the Australian Open this year. It was. I mean, just to watch, it was just something so different. I mean, tennis is always good. We played social tennis together, actually, and we've always enjoyed watching it. But this was just a whole other ball game. Like you saw in that interview, was like you said that the crowd was like a zoo. Like it was just nuts. How was that whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think COVID had to play a fair part in it. I feel like I think Melbourne did like 300 days in hard lockdown. So I feel like every time the AO came around, they just wanted to get loose, get rowdy. And it was insane. This year was crazy. I kind of knew that though from the get-go. As soon as I came out there in my singles match, I knew that the crowd was just ready to go. They needed something to get behind. And, I felt like I could start creating a different crowd. That's been my goal the last couple of years. Like, I feel like tennis is so boring and it's so just mundane and there's no personalities. And I feel like once those big three guys kind of drop out, Roger, Rafa and Novak, the sport's going to really, really struggle. And, I feel like, making doubles interesting, every time I play, the stadiums are full. the crowd was nuts, man. I love it. There's nothing like it in tennis. I think when I play in Australian Open, it's crazy.
What's that like trying to find that balance? Obviously, there was a few times when you were serving and stuff, and there was just idiots yelling out, and you said a few things back, and then. But I think that goes to show the rapport you had with the crowd.
Yeah.
Is it sort of hard to get that balance with them, or do you think it's just a respect thing?
Well, I guess it's hard to find that balance. I think obviously they, even when people see me on the street, like they think I'm just absolutely crazy. Like I'm two completely different people on and off the court. Like on the court, I'm just literally I can't explain it. I'm just mental. Like really competitive, like sickly obsessed with just like putting on a show and winning. But then off the court, I'm very chilled out. So I don't know. I think people in the crowd just think I'm full, just nuts, like literally nuts all the time. So they're just screaming out. And I don't know. I just obviously when I'm acting like that, it's hard to find the balance because the crowd then thinks it's okay to act that certain way as well. But I think there's that grey area where during the point or before I serve, you got to kind of chill out with it a little bit. But I mean, look, the AO experience this year was nuts.
Do you find it hard to compose yourself? I remember there was one point, and I'm trying to think what happened. You pulled wide and cut back a shot, and you took a bow to the crowd, and everyone's going crazy. Your adrenaline just be through the roof. How do you then go back and just serve the next point?
Well, I've been doing it for a long, long time as well, and I've been playing the same way since I was like 10 years old. That's what people think that I'm trying to act a certain way out there, but I've literally anyone that knows me, anyone of my close mates. And anyone that's watched me play, like I was crying when I was 10 years old on court, like trying to do these like crazy highlight shots, and nothing's really changed. So, I don't know. I just look at my box, I look at my team, and they know that I've just got the crowd in the palm of my hand, and I just go out there and then just ride the wave. And look, they all know that being with me and being in my team's a bunch of ups and downs. Like I've ridden the roller coaster my entire life, so it's nothing new.
So you speak about tennis, how it can be quite boring and a bit mundane, and it's a lot of the old school kind of wear your whites and very traditional. I'll just put it straight to you. When you came in at a young age, you kind of split the nation.
Yep.
You're either loved or you were hated.
Yeah.
And it's just to be frank. How did you deal with that pressure at such a young age and all that being in the spotlight and that emotion that comes with it?
I struggled. I definitely struggled. I was just a normal kid from Canberra who, I was traveling overseas when I was 14. And the beauty about tennis is it was a big eye opener for me. I was going to places like China, India, some rough places in Asia, through Europe as well. And it was massively eye opening to see 14-year-old kids come begging to me. And I feel like I've always had that, tennis. I'm 27 years old, but I feel so old. I feel like I'm 60, the amount I've seen and how much I've dealt with. So I don't know, when I was 18, I was just playing tennis. I was still at school. Like I was going to school in Canberra, and I don't know, it kind of just changed overnight when I played Nadal at Wimbledon. I came back home. There was reporters camping outside my house, and man, I was just a kid, like just a normal 18-year-old kid that was going to school in Canberra, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I felt like it was tough because then I started dealing with all this negativity that, I don't think any sort of person knows how to deal with in today's day and age, especially with social media and all that type of shit. So I just really struggled, and I just obviously got told like, you're the next big thing in tennis, and there's these large shoes to fill, and I kept trying, and it just ended up kind of snowballing into this big sort of dark cloud. So it was hard, but I had a good team around me to kind of try and navigate through it, but I think I had to figure it out myself.
Obviously, there's the doubles aspect, which you really enjoy, but majority is singles.
Yeah.
And a lot of athletes, look at swimmers who are in that individual sport. How hard is it when, you're responsible for your performances, you're responsible for the results? Well, what gets you through that? What bits of advice have you got from legends about coping with that? Because it's vastly different to like a team sport, say.
Yeah, I think I respect the legends of the sport in tennis, but I feel like they don't really understand, how much athletes of today's day and age really deal with, like in the social media aspects of like, for instance, I could just wake up today, go through my Instagram and see millions of negative comments. Yeah. Whereas I just don't think legends of the game understand how like dark that can actually be if you take them seriously. But yeah, it's brutal, man. Like especially tennis playing in Australia, people don't understand. Like if you're from America or Europe on the tennis tour, you lose one tournament, you go back home, you catch like a 5-hour flight, you're back home with your family, you see your dogs, you get you're comfortable again, then you reset. But Australia, like you got to grind it out for 6-7 months in a row, and it's brutal. Like, and man, I got into some weird weird situations, like 5 months into my trip when I was alone, like in places like, Belgium, and you start like doing some weird stuff, and you really you learn a lot about yourself, and because then the next day you got to be playing against potentially Rafa Nadal after you've just been alone for 6 months, and then that's on TV, and then you might smash a rack, and that's broadcasted all through Australia, and people don't really know what's going on. So, obviously I love the team environment. I love even just when I'm watching like, footy or basketball or soccer, I wish that I played a team sport. I just love leaning on my mates, and I love, the travel aspect with them. But tennis and swimming and golf, like, it's brutal. Like, it's to have all that pressure on yourself. I feel like all the cameras are always on you. Everyone's watching every move. It's pretty tough.
So we just spoke about the Oz Open and obviously winning with Tanasi, the doubles. But what also happened out of that Oz Open was an Instagram post with you about mental health. Do you want to sort of talk us through that post?
Yeah. I was about in 2019. I think it's crazy because in 2019, I probably had one of my best, I think, result years on the tennis tour. And obviously, I learned pretty early on that winning just seems to cure everything. Around you, your family thinks that you're doing fine. Everyone thinks you're doing fine. But that was such a dark year for me because, I was playing 4th round of Australian Open. Obviously, Kobe passed away. With everything with the bushfires was going on. And I was doing my part trying to help with that. And I was just honestly in the worst possible kind of mindset that year. I was obviously self-harming in the photo that I posted, and I just was never able to share it. I didn't feel comfortable coming out. I was almost scared to share the way I was feeling because I don't think Nick Kyrgios was able to feel that way. I don't think anyone would have respected if I felt that way. But then, I shared this post pretty recently. And, I just felt like the amount of messages I've got from that and how many people I've helped and how many people I continue to, I literally go upon myself to go through my Instagram messages and reply to people and get their numbers and stay in contact with them because I just know that, everyone is just really dealing with something. And I feel like I never judge anyone anymore because I've just done some terrible things. I've done some dark things. I've been through so much that all my goal is now is just to guide people through that shit because it was brutal for me. Like it was so hard. I felt so alone, and obviously to the point of self-harm and thinking about committing suicide, it was tough. Like, but then winning tournaments seemed to just mask all of it, which was the darkest thing ever. Because the media, I was just watching the media refresh, and it was like, oh, has Nick Kyrgios turned a corner? Has Nick Kyrgios really learned how to put things together? And I was like, winning tournaments for millions of dollars, and having no stresses in the world. But I didn't even want to get out of bed. Do you know what I mean? And like live. I hated like the avatar that was created for me. So it was pretty powerful. And I look back on it with pride, like all that stuff I went through. I almost like seeing someone that I know that's dealing with a lot because I can go up to them and help them. So, yeah.
So to us, looking in at that stage of your life, you'd go play a tournament, you'd win a match,
Yep.
You'd be off the camera.
Yep.
Oh, he's probably gone, had an ice bath,
Yep.
gone, had dinner with his team, had a laugh, woken up the next day and played.
Yep.
In reality, what was your day looking like?
Well, yeah, it's not so much like that. I was just literally probably drinking every night, probably at least, and this is no word of a lie, probably drinking 20 to 30 drinks every night. Just in my room on my own, waking up, playing. In Acapulco, probably one of the biggest tournaments you can play, and I was literally in my room drinking, and I'm about to play my first round, and I'm just like literally contemplating whether I wanted to even live at that point. And I was just standing on the balcony in my room, and my trainer came in, and he was just like, "Look, we got to go out there and play in 10 minutes." So I played that match, ended up winning, and then I won that tournament. I beat Nadal, Zverev, Wawrinka, some of the best players in the world, and probably one of the best results of my life. And that was just literally, I was just going back to my room, partying every night. But it wasn't even partying; it wasn't even for the enjoyment of doing it with your mates. I didn't even know anyone I was with, and just doing it all again, like waking up hungover and just going out there and playing. And obviously Australian media was saying, oh yeah, he's doing fine. But I was actually in the worst spot of my career.
That was just to mask what was going on, was it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was a mask. Everyone just assumed that I was doing well. But my close friends, my friend Daniel, he's my best friend and my agent. He was with me the whole time, and he was seeing everything that was going on. He had to have my location on his phone because he didn't know which house I was going to be at, where I would have ended up each day, each night. It was pretty scary.
like talk about going out drinking. When you were talking about that, my mind sort of just went to John Jones.
Yeah.
John Jones, like he was so many reports about how he would just go on a bender a week before fight week, weigh in, fight, win world championships. And when you're in that stage, was it like a necessity to do that things, or was it just like, this is how I'm going to cope with it? Did you feel like you needed to sort of keep up an appearance, or was it just, this is my coping mechanism?
It was just, I think I was just so miserable. Like, I was just so miserable. Like, I just felt, the reason I started, I think, drinking and doing all the drugs was because, I don't know, I was just like so miserable all the time. Like, I would train and play at such a high level that it was almost an outlet, obviously, to deal with the pressure, I think, at times. But well, I've been dealing with so much pressure since I was like 17, and I still deal with it to this day. Every time I walk on court, people expect something from me. So I deal with that fine, I think. It's more just, I hated my life. Like, I wasn't able to trust anyone. I fell out with my family. I pushed all my good friends away. You know, I was just going through so much that I was just like, kind of just took my mind off it. And I literally was just killing myself, literally. At Wimbledon, my dad woke up after I came out. I came back home from a night out. My dad was just next to me, just crying, basically just saying, look, like, you got to stop all this. Like, you just got to stop it. And that's when kind of clicked to me. My dad never cries. Like, he's a strong man. He, he gets disappointed easily, which is almost worse. But when he started crying, I was like, I got to stop. Like, I got to really fix this and turn this around. And I stand here today, and I just can't believe that I'm here feeling the way I feel, what I've achieved, and able to just speak so freely about it. It's insane. From 2 years ago, I never thought I'd be in this position.
So again, in that post, you've finished it off with completely turn myself around. You have a different outlook on everything. You just spoke about your dad. Was there another catalyst for that?
I just take nothing for granted anymore. I just feel like my mum's incredibly sick at the moment. She's been really sick for the last couple of years, and I've, been with her when things have turned south quick and she's had to go in the hospital, moment, like, straight away, being right next to her. And I just never, I never want to feel like, I feel like when you're doing all the drugs and you're drinking, you're just in autopilot all day, every day. You can't enjoy breakfast. You can't enjoy coffee with your mates. You can't go for a walk on the beach in Sydney and really enjoy it. Kind of just coasting, and you just feel like a zombie all the time. And I just love literally just going for a walk now with my girlfriend, getting a coffee, or just, playing basketball, or even just training. Just those little things I just will never take for granted now. And I think, look, it's all right to go out with your mates every once in a while, but I feel like once you get in that cycle of just, drinking and drugs, just things just pile up, man. Like, that was the biggest thing for me. Like, once I stopped doing that, everything kind of just fell into place. I was able to think clearer and just really get my life back on track. Like, I've tried to paint the picture to so many people. Like, I was 24 years old, had millions of dollars, like, I got a place in the Bahamas. Like, I had no financial problems. I had no, like, people would look at my life and be like, wow, this guy's cruising. But I was literally, like, miserable. Like, I wanted it to all end. I would have switched it in a heartbeat for just something normal.
Did you feel, in a way, why am I feeling like this? Because, as you said, you had millions of dollars, you were winning tournaments, you had a house in the Bahamas, you were living the ideal life. And, when you were 10 years old, if someone said, Nick, this is how you're going to look like when you're 24, without obviously the mental side of things, you'd probably say, absolutely, I'd take it like that.
Yeah.
Did you have a sense of almost guilt, thinking, I have no right to be so upset with my life?
I don't know if I felt guilt. I was just really sad. Like, I wasn't able to, I feel like when you're in that position, you want to share it with the people that you love the most. And I just wasn't able to do that. Didn't have a good relationship with my mum or my brother. And I felt tense with them. I was going into my own house and I didn't really feel like I was part of family. And that was the hardest thing for me. I was like, I only ever wanted to start playing tennis and doing all this to actually share it with the people that I wanted to, that got me there. I'm not a person that, I know hundreds of athletes who don't give back to the community. It says nowhere in their contract that they have to do that. And I take it upon myself to go out daily and try and help. And I want to help my family, and I want to share it with my family, my friends. I love just going to lunch with the people I play basketball with and getting their lunch. Like, just my generosity is insane. So I feel like I was like, I have all this, and I just got no one I could share it with. And I couldn't trust anyone. It was a dark place, man. But as I said, to be here now, it's crazy.
So you speak about Daniel, your best friend, and that moment with your dad, and you really wanted to share and talk to them. Did they start to catch on that something was going on? Or did they think you were just living the kind of athlete lifestyle on big money, or did they kind of know there was a deeper issue to it?
Oh no, I've definitely always been I've always been the outcast of my family. Like we're a tight knit family, but I've always been the one to kind of do my own thing and kind of go against the grain and obviously travel alone. But I feel like when they definitely knew something was up. Like they knew the drinking. You know, even when I was in Canberra, I used to come home at all hours of the night, and they knew that something was wrong. Like they knew that I was just drinking too much. My mum would always, just say like, "You got to stop drinking. Like you got to stop doing this. You got to stop doing that." But I just didn't want to change. Like I didn't want to change. And then I was just like, I got the platform to help so many people, and it has like I would just felt guilty like not using it and not teaching the younger generation. Like I literally take so much pride in just like seeing young kids come up to me and just like now I wouldn't trade that for anything. The ability to help and give people confidence is insane, and to get out of spots where you don't want to wake up, you don't want to, go to work, or you feel, as a kid I was extremely overweight, got bullied, obviously being coloured wasn't easy. I just feel like I've overcome so many challenges that I can get through anything. I've got some really thick skin now, and I can just really help anyone. That was my main goal. Like that was everything I was focusing on every day.
Someone going through that stuff, like in a cycle of maybe going out every weekend, drinking, drug abuse, what would you say to them?
Just stop it immediately. Like, just stop it. Like, there's no other way. Like, it's just, first of all, it's just, there's nothing productive that can come out of it at all. Like, obviously, if I go out with my friends now, it will be very rare. And, it was like an every single second day cycle for me, like every day. And someone that's playing a high level sport, it just like, it's obviously the pressure just builds and builds and builds. But to everyone right now, it's like, all right, you can go have a night out with your friends for sure. Like embrace it and enjoy that time. But I would just stop all the other stuff immediately, to be honest. It's going to put you in a hole. You're not going to be able to think clearly. And it doesn't better you at all. Like, I know it's easy to say it, but it really doesn't better you at all. Like, I've had this conversation with my girlfriend. Like, if we have kids, like, I'm not letting my son or my daughter go out and waste time and, be peer pressured into doing those things that they lead nowhere. They lead absolutely nowhere. And I feel like if you want to, strive for greatness or do something outside the box, you can't be doing that stuff, for sure. 100%.
Speaking of that, so you've obviously this change of outlook that you mentioned earlier in the year. You win the doubles.
Yep.
And you're on the first flight out.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, Thanasi, I feel like, look, definitely earlier in my career, I would have partied for sure. I feel like if you're celebrating something like a birthday or an accomplishment, go ahead, have fun. But for me, it doesn't excite me anymore. It doesn't really excite me anymore, to be honest. I feel I much rather would have just woken up with my girlfriend, gone for a coffee and really just been able to look back on, where I was, wanting to commit suicide to now winning an Australian Open. Like, I'd rather have that thought process at like a breakfast rather than coming out of a nightclub at 6 a.m. But, Thanasi's been through so much as well with his injuries. He's been through, I've spoken to him about it. He wanted to stop playing tennis because he was making no money. Like, that's the thing. You think that he was making good money when he was injured, but the travel, the coaches, everything kind of builds up. And just to see where he's at, I'm so proud of how far he's come as well, because he was, having some, if something breaks someone down to tears, it hurts him. So, I just let him do it. I was like, bro, I'm getting out of here. And he was like, no, surely you're not. And I was like, I'm leaving. Because I know for me and you, it's the best thing. Because if I was there as well.
Recipe for disaster.
Recipe for disaster would have been all of the news for sure. And I take it a bit further than Thanasi. I've got that bit of the dark side in me where he, kind of just goes out there for, he keeps it controlled. But I don't have that. So I know that I got to kind of rein it in altogether. So, I don't regret not staying and partying at all.
I mean, you speak about, say 2 or 3 years ago, you would have been out. So that's a huge credit to you and should be so proud of that. Do you have any regrets?
Nah, no time for regret for me, to be honest. I feel like, I look back at my career and my life and everything I've gone through. I look at it kind of like a big tower. And I feel like if you take one little block out or one little brick out, it's just everything falls to pieces. So I don't regret anything. Honestly, I don't. I look back at my tennis career in general and I say I've done it my own way. I've gone against the grain. I haven't had a coach for 5 years now. When I was young, I was taught like you have to fit in this box. You have to tick all these boxes to become a professional tennis player. And I just went the complete opposite way. So I think from that standpoint, I've had so much fun. I don't think there's one player on tour that's had as much fun as I have and has done as much as I have, honestly. And I'm going to bring out a book at the end of my career, and there's going to be some crazy stories in there that they're just like people won't even believe. But I think from that standpoint and my life standpoint, I don't regret anything because I'm super proud of where I've come and who I am today. I feel like I've got so many strong messages and things I can teach people.
I think part of the respect everyone has for you is that you have done it your way.
Yeah.
And you haven't conformed to what anyone has said. And a big part of that is obviously vibes and energy. How do you find it? What do you look for? I know you look to your box a lot.
Yep.
Is that just, I'm on here, the crowd? What gets you up?
Yeah, my box definitely cops it a fair bit too. Like I give it to them a lot. But my best friend, my brother, know that they got to ride the wave. They know that when I'm off court, they kind of, I go up to them and say, sorry, like I didn't mean that in that moment. But I kind of did, but I didn't. But honestly, I don't know. I feel like that's a common struggle is like in just society today. People are always just trying to be something they're not. Like people will literally put more energy into like an Instagram post or, a Snapchat than that literally like job every single day. And I see it every day and I'm just like, I want to say it, but I don't want to intrude. And I feel like people are just trying to impress everyone else. And then they get home at the end of the day and look in the mirror and they're just like, it's just a big front. And it's just like, I'm just so comfortable in my own skin. It's a scary level of freedom. Like that's my message. Once you're really comfortable in your own skin and you're doing what you want to do and you're successful and you're turning heads and people are taking notice, it's a dangerous level of freedom. I literally make one tweet right now and it goes viral. Like it's a scary amount of power for one person to have.
And you're using it well to your credit.
And now I realize that, back in the day when I was replying to people or replying to haters and stuff, yeah, it was cool. Like it was fun. But now it's like I've got such a platform where I just help. And I don't know, man, like a lot gets, like I feel like when I'm on the tennis court, I have a massive chip on my shoulder. Like that's why I'm so angry. That's why I'm so frustrated all the time. And I look like I'm just a different person because everything I've been through is just on my shoulders when I'm out there. And I can, let that down when I'm off court. I can just chill.
It's easy for people to go at you for, getting angry at court, smashing a racket. Half of those people probably have never played a sport in their life. I mean, like I said earlier, we play social. I've broken 4 rackets this year. Yeah. We played social at Moore Park with a bunch of 40-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a competition. We're not just playing with friends.
I couldn't imagine on the big stage how intense it must be. And you've just got all this emotion and it just shows how passionate you are. Definitely. But if you don't show that, you'd have half the people saying, fuck, this guy doesn't give a shit. He's not passionate. Yeah. But then the other half, when you show it, go, oh, he's fucking too emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just can't win, can you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a very emotional person. Like all my friends, my girlfriend, my family, like I'm so sensitive. Like little things just bother me like that. But I mean, I always put an analogy like this. Like if I was watching a young kid kind of play as an athlete, whether it's, NRL, tennis, basketball, anything, and I see that kid like getting frustrated and, not happy with the way he's performing and he's getting angry and he's letting it be known. Like I feel like that just shows that he cares like a lot more than a kid that would just be accepting. Like if that kid was losing and he was just, kind of not making a scene about it or not smashing a racket or not screaming or swearing, it's like that kid's, he's accepting like losing, and I've never accepted losing. Like I hate it so much, it eats me up. Like if I lose on court or it looks like I'm not trying, trust me, that day like I'm not someone that is happy. So I've just never been able to accept losing. And when I'm playing basketball with my friends, they know that I'm just gonna compete. And I feel like
call your own fouls.
What's that?
Call your own fouls.
Oh, we have a guy that kind of monitors it, but it's like. Also, when you put the fact that you're playing for hundreds and thousands of dollars, like I feel like it's not that bad. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just getting angry. If I'm playing Rafa Nadal and we're playing for 3 hours and the prize money's like $500,000 from that round, and an umpire gives me a bad call and I smash a racket, like in that perspective, it's not so. Do you know what I mean? It's not so bad. But obviously, the media is gonna like portray it as if like I've been abusing like 70-year-old grandmas or something crazy. Do you know what I mean? So, I definitely look. There are times where I cross the line, and I'm not going to say that. I've always been a good role model for kids watching. Like sometimes I do cross the line, but that's just my passion. That's just my emotion. Like, I'm not able to control my emotions as well as Roger Federer, but who is? Like, there's like literally a handful of guys in the entire world that can handle their emotions like that, and they're just different breeds. Like, I'm not like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like that.
Speaking about other athletes or other tennis players, is there anyone you come up against and you'll go, he doesn't like the way I go, like I'm a real chance here? Or is there anyone that you might put it a bit on for because it just rubs them the wrong way?
Oh, yeah. I feel like the majority of the tennis tour, when they play me, is very confused sometimes with what's going on. I feel like a couple of guys I played at the Australian Open, on that court have been like, it doesn't do it justice seeing it on TV. Like the way the crowd is orchestrated, the way like people are screaming out, and the way it's crazy. I feel like I always have the analogy, like when I'm playing Djokovic or Federer or Nadal, like they're so used to having such, professional kind of standards, and, their European country clubs that they play at are so clean and proper. And if you look at my 2 courts that are around my house, they're literally road with cracks in it and weed. So I'm just like, I just try and take them. If I was to play them there, what are my best chances to win? So I just feel like I just take them back to, Watson, the streets of Watson, and try and play that game style where I'd be talking with my brother and competing, and it does stir them up. Like when I played Djokovic, the first couple, like the 2 times I played him, I was literally talking the entire change of ends and like talking when we crossed paths, and even to myself, and he would just look back and he'd be like, this guy has so many screws loose.
Are you saying comments to him?
No, just even to myself,
Just-
just the random everything, and just little, if he missed the ball, like I'll be like, there it is. Like just little type of things that just, he would just side eye me, and I'm just like, I'm right there. Like I'm right where I want to be. Because if I don't do that, my chances of winning go down immensely. Like if I'm just trying to be professional and outclass him, that's not going to happen. Classy and Kyrgios don't go together. So I know how to win.
So you're comfortable in your own skin, like you said. How did you get there? So you obviously mentioned stopping alcohol, stopping drugs.
Yep.
I mean, obviously you can say, I just stopped alcohol and drugs, but what steps did you put into place? Did you go see a professional? Who did you lean on? Talk us through that process.
I saw 3 or 4 different psychologists. I went to this place in London as well, where they kind of deal with people that just, obviously may have, bipolar and all that type of stuff, but I was just so depressed that, I just went there and just sought help. So I definitely tried to seek professional help, but I don't think that was the thing that really got me over the line. I feel like just not pushing your family and friends away was a big one. I feel like really just embracing that they do love you. Like I didn't really understand that. Like my parents and my family really do care about me, and being home, just obviously not drinking, not doing drugs was big, but just really leaning on my best friends. When I felt bad, just being able to open up. I feel like males, especially around our age, I don't even know how old you guys are. I'm assuming a bit younger than 27.
Yeah, 20. You're 23 as well,
23.
eh? 23,
Yeah, people our age, they really struggle to like open up about just how they feel on a day-to-day basis. Like, and I was a victim to that. Like I was Nick Kyrgios, who was 23 years old, who was like dealing with mental problems. Like I would feel like it was a big deal, but I was so afraid to open up to anyone. Like, especially even to, like, I didn't want girls thinking that I had mental issues and like I was soft, or, I feel like guys just try and put on this persona that they're so tough. They're like, they want people to know that they're just the toughest guy, but inside they're hurting. And it was just okay to, open up to my best friends, open up to my parents. And then once that was accepted, I was like, look, I can really that's okay. Like I can deal with my problems now. Like I felt like that was me having my problems and then going out on court and trying to act as if I was fine. That was the biggest thing. Like it's okay to feel like shit. It is okay to feel bad. And it's okay to feel like you're not enough at times. I felt like that every day. I was disappointing everyone. But now it's normal. I think it's a normal part of the process.
Yeah, and I think normalizing that, hopefully more conversations around that.
Like I see it all the time as well. Like I see you see it. I see it when I'm, training, or when I'm at a tennis center. I see kids that, may not be, having the best day, and you look at their confidence and their body language, and I see myself in them. Or I see when I go out, say on the weekend, I see guys that I know that are hurting inside, that are trying to just act as if they're fine. And, that's just, I think society's kind of built that image that we got to try and act like we're okay all the time.
We love the analogy that another guest of ours, Mark Mitchell, had. He's a well-known physio around Sydney.
Yep.
And he's worked all over around the world with different athletes. And he always says, and saying you would obviously relate to, if you get injured in sport, you go straight to the physio.
Yep.
No one cares. You know, the news posted everywhere, 6 to 8 weeks he's out for, and it's a big thing. But as soon as you realize that your mental health is a bit damaged, it's just, oh, fuck, tuck that away. Let's not talk about that. Literally no different.
It definitely needs to be attended to more so, I think, than obviously physical injuries are horrible. But yeah, I agree with that analogy big time. Like, and you should take as much time as you need. That's what I've learned now. Like, if I'm not feeling ready to play and I'm not mentally prepared and I feel like, you know, I'm sliding a bit mentally, I just won't get on the court, because I know that if I go on court, I'm going to have all those thoughts where it once put me in that spot. And I know if I act up once, the media's going to go crazy and it's just going to pile on. And then I could potentially creep back into some bad habits that I just don't want to go down. So I agree with that. That's an amazing analogy.
We've got a few fan questions. We put out a couple posts. This one off the bat.
No worries.
How much money have you lost from fines?
Well, all the fines that I get fined go to charity. So that's fun. So the ATP literally sat down with me. They're like,
is that just for you?
No, that's for everyone.
Okay.
So every time we get fined, they're like, it's going to charity. And I was like, I don't know why you would tell me that. But yeah, I mean, look, I probably would have, in my entire career, man, I've been hit with some big ones. But I mean, I don't think all the time it's been fair, to be honest. But I would say I'd be approaching, I reckon, 800 grand, I reckon.
It's more reputation based than what you actually did.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like if you look at what some other players have done, and then you put me in that position, I would have been suspended for like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there was a player who hit a ball, like in anger, at an umpire and hit his eye, and the umpire had to get surgery. And he
deliberately aimed at him?
No, he didn't deliberately aim at him. But it's like,
snapped.
He snapped. He was supposed to like skyrocket the ball, hit the umpire in the eye, got fined $5 grand, and the umpire had to get surgery. And like I got fined £15,000 at this tournament for like kind of doing this thing with this water bottle, and it was like £15,000. Like, you get it up on YouTube, it's hilarious.
I've seen it.
But like £15,000, that's like 30 grand. And I was like, this guy put a guy in the ICU like for his eye, and I'm just like having a bit of fun with I was just looking at my team, and I didn't realize the camera was on. But it was at probably like the most prestigious tournament. So anyway.
Mate, one of the funniest moments I think I've seen with you was when you won, I think it was a 3rd or 4th round at Wimbledon. And, you know, Wimbledon's so proper.
Yeah.
And the commentator who was talking to you was so proper. It wasn't like Jim Curry or someone. And he goes, what are you going to do tonight? And you go, look, honestly, I'm probably just going to go play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Maybe some FIFA, go to sleep, and I think you've got doubles tomorrow. Like, what does preparation look like for you? Is it just being yourself once you've done the work?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'll obviously get physio. You know, I travel with my physio most of the time, so he'll treat me, and then I'll literally game for like at that Wimbledon in particular. It's funny. I played Andy Murray in the 4th round, and I literally was just playing FIFA online for like, I probably woke up at 7:30, and I played FIFA online for a good 6-7 hours. Like, no word of a lie. And my physio every couple of hours was like, all right, it's time to get off. Like, probably should get off. You know, get some fresh air, get some food, maybe get a coffee. And it got to about 4 p.m. and I'm playing Murray at 6 p.m. So I haven't eaten, haven't got a coffee, haven't moved. Like, smell like, you know when you got that gaming smell? And I literally like went on court against Murray, got smoked. And like every time I blinked, like all I could see was like FIFA in my eyelids. And I was just like, I looked at my box, I was like, I've lost, like I can't play. Like, I played way too much FIFA today. Got smoked. And then ever since then I stopped gaming like ridiculous amounts before I played. But it's, you know, I don't game so much anymore. I just don't have time, but I'd love to.
Another fan question we got. Have you got an exit strategy out of tennis, and how do you find your identity outside of the court?
I feel like, you know, I work with a lot of businesses as well outside of my tennis. I feel like my off court, you know, business plan is quite strong. You know, I feel like I you know, had a meeting yesterday. Like, I always try and stay proactive with that because I know tennis isn't going to last forever. I feel like I built a pretty good platform and a pretty good profile, you know, to find things I can dabble in outside of tennis. But look, you know, I feel like I've got at least 2-3 good years left, you know, playing at the top of the sport. So, you know, I'll see where that goes. And, you know, I want to have kids, you know, within the next 2 years. So, you know, wherever that leads.
Another fan question. Toughest opponent?
Oof. Toughest opponent for me, I would say Kei Nishikori. I have never beaten him before. I've lost to him like 4 or 5 times. I should have beaten him, but I think he's very underrated. But out of the big 3, I think Roger's the hardest to play out of those 3 guys. I feel like when you play the other 2, like you feel like you're in the match, but Roger can make you feel really shit. Like he can make you feel like you don't deserve to be on that court. The way he's walking around, the crowd. No matter where you play Roger in the world, you'll never be crowd favorite.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he can just make you feel like you don't want to be there. He just puts like you look at the clock, it's been like 35 minutes and you're down like 6-2, 3-1. And it's like, what's going on right now? With the other guys, they kind of, give you a bit more of a chance.
What's the conversations like with those guys? Like, do you see them? Do they give you do they attempt to give you some advice, or do they talk to you? Like, what's the go? Are you mates?
I'm really good friends with Andy Murray. Andy, me and him have had some really good chats, and we went on Instagram Live once, and that's when I was actually going through my dark period, and he was like fine. I was like drinking on like red wine in the online, which was hilarious at the time, but I look back and I'm just like, I can't believe I was doing that. But Andy's like the most humble guy ever. Like he could just pull up another seat here and he would just be talking like a normal guy, which is awesome. Novak early in my career came up to me when I was young, and he was like, look, if you ever need anything, I'm here, come to me. And then he soon realized that, I think these guys kind of soon realized that I was just my own guy. I wasn't like a normal young guy coming through the ranks where I was looking to pick someone's brains or get help. They were just like, this guy's just on his own course. Like every time Roger sees me, he just knows like, if he sees me standing like and breathing fine, then he's happy. Like that's the type of like vibe I get from him. He's like, he's not worried about my tennis. Yeah. But the other 2 guys, I'm good with all of them. I've got massive respect to all of them. Obviously, they're the greatest of all time. And I feel like I've played them, had victories against them. So the respect for me is there. But they're not someone I would get a coffee with, do you know what I mean? Or hang out with. Yeah. And that's fine.
Or play COD with.
Exactly. Or play COD with. Yeah, that's right.
We got another one from NRL Laughs, a good supporter of ours on Instagram. They're an NRL page. Mm-hmm. Do you think the media portrays you in a bad way?
I think some, like earlier in my career for sure, the first 5 years, yeah. Like the amount of people I meet and I just have a conversation and I hang out with them, they're just like, dude, you're like the complete opposite to what you're portrayed to be. And I'm just like, well, yeah, I mean, like I know the thing about the media, I know that they're like, the bigger the story, the bigger the paycheck for them. So I like play it now, like whereas in, when I was donating for the bushfires or fundraising and driving around for groceries during COVID and all that stuff, I don't do that for media. I do it because I want to do it. And that's what I mean. Like people are like, oh, don't you want the media to follow you when you're doing that stuff? I'm like, no, I hate that. Like I don't want to be doing things for good press. Like I don't care about that. And what the media don't realize, it's actually helped me financially. Like giving me all this press, to be honest. Like whether it's bad or good, it just creates attention. Like so that's what they don't know. So I'm like, I park in the wrong spot and it's on the news. You know what I mean? Like that's
Celtics involved.
Well, that's what I mean. Like that's towards the extent of how much attention they give me. In that sort of sense, it's good. But I don't even care about it, to be honest. Like I know that people probably think like, oh, he's on the news again. Like I really don't care what the media says, because I know like there was a article that said that my girlfriend's mum was her sister. Like that's the credibility. They don't even know. Like they just want the headline and that's it. So the media is dangerous, man. Like I don't even read anything I read on the media now. I don't even take any account of. I don't believe it until I meet that person or I understand what they're going through, and that's it. It's more of a laugh for me. Like when I see articles on myself, I just laugh. Like I literally just laugh. Like apparently I'm getting engaged right now.
You know what? I saw that because you posted on it. Yeah. You did an Instagram story or something. Someone said,
like I put one ring emoji. Yeah. I'm married. I park in the wrong spot. It's there. But that also shows how powerful, what I can do with my platform is I need to be doing that. Because if I wasn't helping people, I feel like I'm just doing them a disservice.
Right, is there a blow up or a moment that you look back on and you just like you love, or you sort of just think, oh mate, that was so funny at the time?
Like when I get off the court and I watch it back, I'm like, fuck. That's over the top. But in that moment, it feels right. Like I'm just acting purely off emotion. And look, if I went back, and I probably would have toned down some of the blow-ups for sure. Like there's one in Cincinnati where I got fined $125,000 for breaking 2 rackets, abusing the umpire, spitting at the umpire. At the time, like it felt good. Like it felt good. But I look back and I'm just like, I look back at all the kids that could be potentially watching that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, the level of tennis I'm playing is fine. Like that's fine. That's great. People can watch that. People can watch the way I'm competing or like trying to stick it to the umpire. That's fine. But I think the line where I'm, you know, abusing him and spitting at him, like that stuff it's not okay. And there'll be athletes who, you know, will go through. I'm sure there's plenty of NRL players that, you know, in the moment they're just competing and they don't really care, and that's fine. But then you got to think about all those like young kids that are looking up to you. They're going to try and act like you. Like that's what I was told. Like the amount of tennis players now, young kids that just are emulating shots or behaviors, and like, you know, Leighton Hewitt's son Cruz was emulating things that I was doing, and then I was just like, man, I gotta be better. I just have to be better.
Yeah.
I don't want to see, you know, our future stars. You know, I want them to win as well. Like, you know, I feel like I've won a lot in my career, but I want them to go about it the right way as well.
What NRL team do you go for?
Oh, I mean, I would probably say the Raiders. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know anyone. I don't follow it that well, but I mean, Nick Kyrgios, like, he's a Cameron boy, so I don't even know where he plays right now. But he used to play for the Raiders, didn't he?
He's back at the Raiders.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I'll follow the Raiders.
Hey, you've referred to your girlfriend a few times about this. What's that been like meeting her?
Amazing. You know, I've had a fair few experiences with girls, and I kind of never thought that I would be in a relationship where I kind of had so much clarity. Like I feel like, you know, when we have a home together now, I train and, you know, she goes about her stuff and we just kind of have such a good kind of dynamic where we better each other. I think that's the main thing in a relationship, like just able to actually hang out with the person and push them and hold them accountable without, you know, like getting sick of them. I feel like that's my best advice for a relationship. If you can hold your partner accountable, push them, you know, hold them to a high standard and still able to be with them 24/7 and you don't get sick of them, then marry that person.
The media's going to pick up on
that's
that.
fine. That's fine. Like I've, you know, she knows where I'm at and I know where she's at. So it's really good. Like it helps me, honestly, like happy relationship. I'm able to train harder, able to just, you know, like 2 years ago, I wouldn't have done this podcast. Do you know what I mean? And being with her, you know, just gives me clarity to come here and she, you know, holds me accountable. Like, you got this platform, you should go there and talk about your experiences to help. And that's how I know that, you know, she's a good one.
Well, we really appreciate you using this
No, of
platform.
course.
A lot of people are going to
course.
benefit from it. Last question.
Shout out Corey.
Corey Callis,
yeah. Huge.
Last question, I guess. You know, you said 2 or 3 years. I definitely think, we think you could go more at the top level. If you're looking back when you retire, what's a successful career for you? I mean, have you already had a successful career in your eyes? What does it look like?
A successful career for me would be just, I think there are a couple athletes around the world that are more than just their sport. Like you look at LeBron James and how, you know, he's more than basketball, you know, what he does for putting kids through school, the role model type aspect. I think for me, if you just look purely based on following, like there's the big four and then there's me. Like I feel like tennis fan wise. So I feel like for me, I'm not just a tennis player. Like the way I go about it, how much I've overcome, like that's more than just tennis. I want to look back at my career and be like, look, I was just more than someone who went on a court and competed like a dog and had good victories and won tournaments. Like I want to, you know, my foundation in Melbourne, the amount I help, I want to be remembered for that more so. And I think people, you know, you can say that for a couple of years and people are like, oh, he's just saying that for media publicity or he's just saying that to kind of, you know, make himself feel better at night. But I genuinely live by that. Like everyone close to me knows that I got a big heart and sometimes too big at times. I'm a bit like, I think if I was more selfish in my career, I probably would have had a better career. Like I think if I just focused on tennis and my body and not giving to people, and I feel like I would have for sure had a better tennis career. And I don't regret that one bit because I feel like my happiness comes from helping others.
Mate, you travel the world. You're about to go to Wimbledon. You've won the Australian Open. Yet you're sitting here with us just having an open and free conversation, helping other people. I love to see the way you talk about how proud you are. You can see how proud you are of how far you've come, and that's a full credit to you. And we'd really like to just thank you for this opportunity and for letting us sit here and just, like I said, just be as open as you are. I hope you understand how many people you really are going to help and you already have helped and continue to will do in the future.
I appreciate that, fellas. I mean, look, I was stalked your Instagram, and you know, it's all for a good cause. And honestly, the more people you can get who have gone through it, and you can share that story, it's important, because I was that person one time that, you know, was wanting to look up to someone like an athlete or anyone, and know that it's going to be all right. But there's going to be a lot of steps to take to get to that point.
Awesome, mate. I wish you all the best with the upcoming tournaments and Wimbledon. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.